Today we're going to be talking about anxiety and dealing with some frequently asked questions and talking about some ways we can deal with anxiety. Anxiety is a natural and perfectly normal emotional and physical reaction to difficult and stressful situations. Normally, it is triggered by particular things, and it ends once the situation has passed. But it can become a problem when the strong feelings of anxiousness appear out of the blue or last for longer or more often than would be appropriate otherwise. It can be triggered by things like work-related stress, economic stress, paying bills, relationship concerns. When we're anxious, we often feel self-conscious, embarrassed, sad, and fearful. Now, anxiety is based on the fight or flight response. It's designed to help us prepare for dangerous situations. But of course, in modern society, many of the things that stress us out can't be solved by either fighting or running away, so the anxiety can get out of control and make things worse. When we're feeling threatened or in danger, our brain is releasing cortisol and adrenaline. These are the stress hormones that cause the feelings of anxiety. They increase our senses, our energy, our strength, and our physical functioning. However, it also takes parts of our mind and body offline. Our body focuses only on those things it thinks are necessary in an emergency situation. So often we think differently and cannot concentrate properly. Our heart rate gets elevated. We might lose our hunger, sexual desire, and the only thing we can concentrate on is the thing that's making us feel stressed. This can make it hard to sleep, hard to do any of the other things that we need to do, and it can cause a feeling of worthlessness or impending doom, make us feel irritable and down. People who have not experienced it often see it as irrational. They can't understand how we feel, how challenging it feels and the struggle, so they cannot provide support. But anxiety is not just an illusion or trick of the mind. These are real feelings that exist within us. And fortunately, there are ways of managing them. Some of the signs of having anxiety is a constant stream of thoughts and worries that feel impossible to stop. Things such as worrying about a relationship ending, worrying about getting a disease or health concerns, worrying about losing a job, about public speaking. What if something goes wrong, if I embarrass myself? Even things like, did I lock my door? Did I turn off the stove before I left the house? What if I didn't do something I was supposed to do? What if I forgot something? Often, many of the worries begin with the words, "What if?" This can fuel further anxiety, making us think about all kinds of possibilities of what could possibly go wrong. People with anxiety may seek reassurance, ask others for advice, but no matter what others say, it doesn't really help, it doesn't change the feelings. Always feeling constantly on edge, worrying about things that seem to be irrational, feeling like the mind and thoughts are driven from some force outside of your own body, out of your control, feeling a sense of danger or impending disaster, and unable to concentrate on things other than worrying. You can also have physical symptoms like feeling tired or hungry, being unable to sleep, feeling self-conscious, butterflies in your stomach, feeling dizzy, having tingling in your hands, or shaking, high blood pressure, muscle pain and tension, maybe teeth grinding, causing a sore jaw, sore teeth, fast breathing, shallow, fast breathing, and of course panic attacks, feeling like maybe a heart attack or like you can't breathe. Anxiety is on a spectrum and people may have some symptoms or more of them. Now the most common type of anxiety is generalized anxiety disorder, which is when you're worrying most of the time for a long time about things that seem irrational. There are some other types of anxiety too: social anxiety, worrying about being embarrassed or ashamed or being criticized in public. Panic disorder, when the anxiety is escalating into anxiety or panic attacks. And phobias, being afraid, especially afraid of some particular thing, some particular situation, like fear of flying, of heights, of spiders or different animals, or any number of other things could be a fear. Needles is a common one, being afraid of needles. And some other things related to anxiety are post-traumatic stress disorder, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, health anxiety and hypochondria, and types of substance abuse. Now, anxiety is of course linked with stress. The difference is that stress is normally caused by external factors, lots of different pressures on you from outside, whereas anxiety can occur even when these stresses are not present, and it's more based about worrying about things that could happen, being overly concerned about all the what-if sort of situations. But apart from that, they can both have very similar physical and mental symptoms. Now, sometimes stress can be relieved by simply removing the factors that are making you stressed, whereas with anxiety, you may need some further treatments as well, rather than just solving one particular thing that is causing you issues. One thing that can be helpful with anxiety is when you're having the what if sort of thoughts, like, what if I lose my job? You can replace them with who or how questions, like, how could I lose my job? And that sort of reduces the possibilities of unlikely things. Then you're worrying more about things that actually could happen, and maybe you can think about how likely these things are actually to happen, and if there's things you can do to reduce the likelihood. Hopefully that can help a little bit with some of the worrying. Now I'm going to give 10 tips anxiety and symptoms and how you're feeling to get data. Now, you might score your mood and your sleep and the number of anxiety episodes you have in a day. By keeping this journal, it can help to make you more mindful of what's going on, and you can look back on it and see if it's getting better, if it's changing and improving over time. Number 3, educate yourself. Now, by understanding anxiety, you have a bit more power to control it and fight back against it. Learn everything you can about anxiety disorder from other people who have anxiety, from books, website studies, different experts. Number 4, know that you are not alone. Now, there are many different anxiety support groups that you can join, and there are Facebook communities and different online communities and in-person meetup groups where you can talk to others with the same issues and discuss what works and share the journey in changing and recovering. Number 5, find a mentor. Now, as you're connecting with others in the anxiety community, it makes sense to find other people who are doing well and that you can get some advice and help with them. People who have already overcome the same obstacles that you are facing. Learn everything you can from them and just ask if they're willing to mentor you. Number 6, conduct an audit. Now, since you're being more curious about the things that are triggering your anxiety, you can do a sort of audit of your life, paying attention to the different things in your life that are causing you problems, thinking about what boundaries or what changes you can make to protect yourself better. Number 7, be kind to yourself. Now, don't expect anxiety to be eliminated overnight. Don't be hard on yourself. It can be difficult to completely eradicate the problem, but with work, people can significantly reduce the levels of anxiety they feel, and getting back to what might be a more of a normal sort of level. Number 8, take baby steps. Now, you may need to be making some changes to different parts of your life and forming some new habits, creating some new ways of thinking. Now, just try to implement each step at a time. Don't try to do everything at once. Keep measuring your progress and seeing what's working, what you need to continue adjusting. Number 9, explore tools. There's different tools and tactics that have worked for others to beat anxiety, and you can build up a repertoire of these to have more different ways of dealing with it. Number 10, try to be mindful. Now, when you focus on being present and focused in the moment, you start to feel a bit better. There are different ways you can become more mindful, such as silent walking, meditation, and breath work. Try some of these out. See what seems to help. Now, there are some things that you shouldn't do if you have anxiety. Top 10 things to avoid. Number 1, just accepting it and not to stress levels. There are some different foods that are bad for anxiety, which we'll discuss a bit later. Exposing yourself to stress. Try to avoid any stresses that you can. Don't ignore labels on medications. If you have any medicines for other things, just be careful of any that have a symptom of heightening anxiety. Try to avoid any like that. Try not to get wrapped up in negative thoughts. People with anxiety also feel sadness, anger, frustration. So we need to learn techniques for addressing this negative thinking and managing these emotions. Don't say yes to every social invite you receive. When you are invited to something, consider if you really want to go, or if you're just sort of feeling like you have to, feel guilty about not doing it. Hopefully it's an event that will be good for you and you can attend and get some benefit. But if it's something that you really don't want to do, don't feel guilty and feel like you have to do it if it's going to be bad for your anxiety. And don't be a people pleaser. People with anxiety often feel like they can't be authentic because others might reject them. So don't do things which are against your own wishes, against your own values, in order to try to please others. Instead, learn some methods for being able to speak your own mind. Number 8, don't ignore the triggers of anxiety. There are some things that can trigger anxiety. Maybe a confined space, or a song that you have some PTSD around, or something that happened before. And that you know that every time you hear that thing or smell it or whatever, it can trigger it. Understand what these are and try to avoid these to protect you. Don't believe everything you are told about anxiety. Many people will give you all kinds of advice about anxiety, but it's not always suited to your needs. So take some time to do your research before implementing any suggestions. Don't assume that one thing will work for everyone. And of course, don't think that you're all alone. If you need help, ask for it. There are many places you can go to for support and help. So, what are some lifestyle changes that you can make to reduce your anxiety levels? One of the best ones to help improve your mood is exercising more. The reason is that the dopamine you get from exercise, the serotonin and the endorphins, they act very quickly in your brain, and that can help you feel better about yourself and boost your confidence. Changing your diet. Some things in your diet can be changed to give you more nutrients. That can help. Cutting down on alcohol. Alcohol can make anxiety worse, especially if you're using it as a coping mechanism, or to deal with depression, or to try and numb out uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. It doesn't actually help, so try to cut down or remove alcohol from your life. Avoiding stress. Now, as adults, we have stresses like mortgage payments and jobs and relationships. Some of these things we can't do much about, but some of them we can maybe cut out and avoid. So reduce stress stress as much as you can. Cultural activities such as visiting museums, going to the theatre and concerts, these can help with anxiety, help to get you stimulated on other things and focusing less on different worries and concerns. Creativity can do the same thing. Being creative by getting different hobbies, painting or music or building things that can help to put you on a better path as well, give you something more positive to do, take your mind off other things. Smoking. If you smoke, now that can actually be bad for anxiety, including cigarettes and vaping. That might make you feel temporarily better, but the chemical like nicotine actually can increase your heart rate and make the symptoms worse. So best to avoid that. Be a mindful sleeper. Now, if you're struggling with anxiety, you may well also be having poor sleep. And we can be more mindful of our sleeping habits, such as tracking our sleep schedule, removing any distractions in the sleep area, making sure the mattress is clean and good, that your sheets are comfortable and washed, removing any extra light from curtains and so forth, or having a quilt that's too thick or too thin, making it too hot or cold, just make everything really comfortable, and that can help. Of course, we should avoid caffeine. Caffeine is going to further stimulate the fight or flight responses, so that can be a big trigger of anxiety. It's speeding everything up in our body, and with anxiety things are already working at maximum capacity, stressed out, our heart racing. So by reducing caffeine, that can help to relax. Look at any supplements you are taking. Some natural supplements can still have side effects. Some contain large amounts of caffeine or ephedra, which is a different thing, which can increase heart rate and anxiety. Now, some common hobbies and pastimes which are good at dealing with anxiety include fitness and exercise, craft-based activities, which let's be a little bit creative, music and dancing, singing out loud. It can improve your mood, and learning new things improves your mood too, so maybe learning an instrument, something like that. It can help you express your emotions and also keep your mind sort of occupied learning new things. Reading a good book can have a calming effect. It can have a stress reduction of 70% with lower heart rates when you're reading. You can also write stories or journal, write poetry. It can help get the thoughts out of your head and onto paper. And when you're focusing on writing, then it prevents other anxious thoughts from coming into your head. Cooking is good too. You can plan some meals. You can experiment and try different recipes or mix them up yourself. You can, for people who like cooking, they can sort of get lost in doing it and just get those anxious thoughts and feelings out for a while. Gardening can be good too, because you're growing and nurturing plants. You can feel that you're creating something and seeing it grow can give you a bit of a feeling of fulfillment and purpose. Having animals can be good. interacting with animals, such as dogs and so forth. If you don't have a dog, then maybe you can help to walk a friend's dog, or volunteer at a rescue centre, one that helps to look after wild animals and so forth. Now it can be helpful to share your thoughts with others and talk to others about what you are experiencing. Of course, you might not trust everyone and want to talk to people about, the sensitive things that you're dealing with if they won't understand. So you can give people a sort of traffic light system rating. You can say, this person, I know them, I trust them. They're a green light person. I can sort of tell them whatever I want and I'll feel safe and trustworthy with them. Amber light, yellow light, someone that maybe you can talk to them a bit, share some of your story, but maybe not give too much information, and if you're in doubt, don't talk to them. And a red light, someone who you know that they're a gossip or they're judgeful sort of person. These people you shouldn't let down your guard around them, so just avoid being near them in the first place. So try to spend more time with green light people that you can trust and less with red light people, and find people that you can be open with and get things off your chest. Now, we're wanting to reduce our anxiety, and part of that is paying attention to how we feel throughout the day. So we can label our emotions throughout the day with different labels. We can write them down in our journal. There's also different apps that we can use, and we can try to be specific about the different emotions that we are feeling. For example, if you are feeling fearful, you can think, what kind of fear am I feeling? Am I feeling scared, anxious, insecure, weak, rejected, or threatened? If you're feeling angry, you can say, am I feeling critical, or distant, frustrated, aggressive, mad, bitter, let down, humiliated? We can break these things down and understand better how they're changing throughout the day. Maybe we're happy and we're feeling playful, or content, interested, proud, accepted, peaceful, trusting, or optimistic. By taking some time to identify how we're feeling, you can become a bit more empowered, meeting your own needs, and reduce the impact of anxiety when it begins to cause problems. You can recognize that these feelings, they come and go, and if you're experiencing one of the negative ones, then you can see how long they normally take on average to pass, and maybe try to figure out what kind of things help you to change into a different feeling. Now here's a few more good habits for beating anxiety. Of course, exercise, we already mentioned that. That's always a good one. That can be combined with getting out into nature. Spending time outdoors can help reduce stress and anxious feelings. We can walk or run, we can even sit still in nature, see and hear what is happening. It can help us feel more grounded and connected. It's good to do this for a few minutes after we wake up, and again before the sun sets. It helps with the natural light, so we get the sunlight off the start and the end of the day. We understand how our body clock can adjust itself to natural sleep rhythms. Meditation is also good. If you haven't meditated before, before, try some guided meditations. There are some apps, there are some YouTube videos. I may make some meditation videos on the channel later. I'll make a special section for that. These can help you feel calm and connected. Even starting with 10 minutes a day can help you reground, reconnect, and get you out of a negative headspace. And you become better at it the more you practice it. Social media and news. Now these can actually be pretty bad for anxiety. News, of course, is always focused on negative things. In the news, they say, if it bleeds, it leads. So, if there's any positive news or just so-so news, they don't normally bother talking about that very much because it doesn't stand out as much. But if anything bad happens, then it will go straight into the news. So, if you're looking at the news, you're looking at like a highly concentrated view of anything bad that happens in the world, and you're not seeing much of the good stuff that's happening. And the same with social media. We're seeing people competing with each other. We're seeing people maybe saying something bad that happened, or they may be showing off. They're probably not going to be just talking about their normal life and about normal things. So if you're always seeing people on social media showing off, then you'll compare to them and you'll see, why isn't my everyday life the same as this exaggerated version of the best moment in someone else's life? We assume that their life is always great, they're always at a party, they're always doing something fun, and we just feel like, well, this is now how I feel every day. Why are they always happy? Why am I having all these issues? It's actually not accurate. It's not what's really going on. So it's best to cut that out and not give ourselves these sort of negative feelings. We should reward ourselves. We should have treats to look forward to that we know will improve our mood. Any progress we're making on our journey, we can have some treat associated with that to help us stay motivated to whatever we want to do. If there's something that we need to do but we feel anxious about doing it, don't try to make it all too much at once. Break it down a little bit into smaller parts and do something that makes you feel better after each one. Keep yourself motivated. Get data by tracking your symptoms, recording information. Then you are basically able to see how things are going and keep track and process any challenging feelings. Relax and rest. Sometimes we need to take a break from the stress and challenge of life. So when you feel that you need a rest, maybe a short nap can help. Relaxing for a few minutes with a book, or a puzzle or a game or something, get you back into the right sort of mindset. Know your sense of purpose. Now, having a sense of purpose can be like a force that drives you to stay motivated and achieve and reach goals. And it's not going to be the same for everyone. Find something aligned with your core values and your individual needs that you can have as a sense of purpose. This can be through work, hobbies, education, wealth, relationships, helping others, all these kinds of things. Slowing down. We need to try to slow our lives down a little bit. Everything in the modern world is about speed. Everything gets faster. There's always different notifications coming up. Everything can happen instantaneously. There's always a lot of pressure to move faster and not waste time. This can be very detrimental. It's not the way people were meant to live. Now, try to slow down a bit by being more intentional about the things you do, eating, walking, driving. Pay attention as you're doing them. Do them slowly and deliberately, and it can affect your sense of well-being. And practicing gratitude. Now, with anxiety, we're probably beating ourselves up, feeling like our lives are terrible. But if you look around your life, although you may have many things that you're critical of, maybe you can find at least 3 things that you're grateful of. If you try to find 3 different things each day that you're grateful of, you can maybe start to focus more on positive aspects of your life. Because the difference between a person with anxiety and the person without it, sometimes it just depends on the things that we focus on. We may have 2 people with the same sort of life, the same stresses and so forth, but someone may be more affected by them if they concentrate more on the negative things. Someone else may, focus on the positive things a little bit more, and it can just change how they feel about things, even if the other circumstances are the same. So try to focus on these small things that can make a difference to your life, such as be grateful for things in nature, your home, the people in your life. I mentioned before that some foods are better for anxiety. Here are the top 10 foods that can help to reduce anxiety. Fatty fish. Fish which are high in omega-3 fatty acids can naturally benefit your mind. Some examples are salmon, mackerel, cod and sardines. Complex carbohydrates. These are very good because they steadily release energy. They don't cause a GI spike and then a low with high sugar and then lower sugar. Some good ones are oats, wholemeal bread and pasta. Pasta is especially good if you cook it and then let it cool down overnight in the fridge before you eat it. It develops more complex carbohydrates that way. The same with potatoes. If you cook them, then cool them in the fridge, then they will become more complex and take longer to break down. Asparagus. Asparagus has some natural ingredients which are used in China as anti-anxiety medicine, so they can be good for you. Leafy greens like spinach, greens and chard and kale, they have a lot of magnesium. Magnesium is good for anxiety and for feeling calmer. Nuts like walnuts and Brazil nuts, they have a lot of antioxidants which can help to reduce symptoms. Berries are also good because of their high antioxidants. For example, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. Foods with high vitamin B, like grains, potatoes, bananas, eggs and dairy. They have vitamin B, which is good for balancing anxiety and dealing with symptoms. And foods with high vitamin C, such as broccoli, peppers, of course citrus like oranges. Probiotic foods such as fermented foods with live microorganisms. These can help with both anxiety and depression. So for example, kimchi, tempeh, sauerkraut, and of course yogurt and kefir, kombucha and so forth. And chocolate, dark chocolate is good because it can lower your blood pressure. critical of anxiety, antioxidants as well. But it does have some caffeine as well, so a little bit is good, but too much is not so good. Now here are 10 foods that are bad for anxiety. Processed meat can increase anxiety or depression, such as bacon, ham, canned meat, and sausages. Sugary food and drinks. They're bad because of the sugar levels going up and down can cause anxiety as well as other medical problems. Foods with high gluten are bad. Things such as bread, cereals, biscuits, and cakes. Fructose, ones where the sugar has been processed to create a sweeter taste. Things with refined sugar, sucrose or glucose. Foods with phytic acid. This is a thing that prevents other minerals and vitamins from being absorbed. So if you have things with phytic acid like seeds, beans, nuts and grains, certain ones, not all of them, but some have high phytic acid, they can prevent you from absorbing other nutrients. Deep fried foods like chips and fried chicken. The saturated fats are bad. And trans fats in various processed foods and fast foods. Too much salt is bad too. Sodium can increase anxiety and depression. Any processed foods, overly processed foods, frozen, tinned, dried, they could have too much fat, sugar and salt. And of course, alcohol is bad as well. So, if you have an anxiety attack, here are some tips you can use to help to deal with it. First, you can try using a visualization. Fix your attention on something in your imagination and focus on it until the attack has passed. Also, breathing control. You can breathe in and out of a paper bag, or just pay attention to your breath. Breathe in and out of your nose and mouth. Try to breathe at a normal speed, breathing in deeply, but not too deeply, not too fast, and not having the shallow, fast breaths. Try to take your time to breathe. You can use the box method, which is used in the military, which is 4 seconds. Breathe in for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out slowly for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Before breathing in again. That just helps to slow things down. Having a slow, deep breaths, then that can help to calm you. Lying down. Anxiety attacks can cause dizziness and fainting. So if you lay down, you can feel safe and grounded. That can help the attack to pass. Now, anxiety attacks can also happen when you are in a bad situation that you feel unable to leave if you're feeling trapped. So removing yourself from that situation can help it to pass, go somewhere else, away from the thing which is making you feel trapped. Water can help. Splash some water on your face. Drink some cold water. That can help to sort of divert attention away. And you can use a mantra. yourself can help you to keep your focus in one place, help you to try to relax and feel calm during it, such as you could repeat everything passes over and over, either in your head or out loud. That can help. And there's a technique called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It's designed to help you feel grounded, feel present during an attack by connecting with different things through your 5 senses. Take note of 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Helps you focus on your senses. Get out of your head. Just be present. So, another process you can use for dealing with anxiety in general is to have a sort of process for meeting your own needs. So first, you identify the emotion or feeling that you are experiencing. Maybe it's anger or sadness, but you can dig deeper, be a bit more specific. Then you might realize that you thought you were angry, but actually you're feeling unheard or unloved or rejected. Be specific about how you are feeling. Once you've identified this, try to embrace it. Don't push it away. Realize that it will pass and listen to what it is trying to say. Now think about what's the opposite of the emotion that you're feeling, and what can you do in order to make you feel that way. For example, if you're feeling unheard, then the opposite is feeling listened to or connected with others. Now that you know what the opposite feeling is that you want to have instead of what you're currently feeling, you can work out where you can get this from. If you're feeling unheard, maybe you can reach out to a friend and to talk and let them know how you're feeling and be listened to. Now, because anxiety is triggered by the sympathetic nervous system, this flight or fight system that we have in our bodies, we actually have something else called a parasympathetic nervous system. It's kind of the opposite. What it does, it is a system that can act like a brake pedal to slow down your anxiety, make you feel calm, relaxed, and less anxious. So, there are 10 steps that can help you activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Try some exercise like running, cycling, or swimming. Take a deep breath in, close your mouth, pinch your nostrils as you try to breathe out. This will increase pressure in your chest and help to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. You can also shake your hands and your feet to release tension and nervous energy. Another thing you can do is gargle with water. This will activate the muscles at the back of your throat, which helps trigger this system. You can intentionally laugh, kind of like fake laughing or doing something to make you laugh. This can help you feel calm and relaxed by triggering this parasympathetic nervous system. You can also do things that you know make you happy, like your hobbies and your activities. do some deep rhythmic breathing exercises. Breathing deeply from the diaphragm with your eyes closed. Doing this for a few minutes can help you feel better. You can do Pilates, Tai Chi or yoga. These have a calming effect. And you can also practice mindfulness or meditation. These will help to relax and to calm you. One common place to experience anxiety is in the workplace. Here are some tips you can use to minimize anxiety at work. Know when to ask for help. If things are going badly, then being afraid to ask for help can increase your worries and anxieties. Make sure that you don't take on more work than you need to and ask for help when you need it. Don't fight your anxiety. Some level of anxiety is natural as a response to stress. So rather than trying to wrestle with your anxious thoughts and push them away, take some time to deal with them. You can take a short break to meditate or keep a journal or talk to a colleague. Just take some time to deal with it rather than trying to push through and work through it. Be authentic and honest. So people with anxiety may feel that they need to change who they are to please others and put up with things. Try being honest, radically honest and authentic to help you minimize worries and fears. Don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't put up with things you don't want to do. Avoid drama. Many workplaces have a lot of drama and gossip. This can be toxic, and you don't want to have to deal with all of this. It can make anxiety worse. When someone's trying to pull you into some sort of drama, just walk away from it. Practice mindfulness. It can be easy to get overwhelmed in the workplace. So, by being mindful and being present in the moment, you can reduce unwanted thoughts and stay focused. Facing your fears. If you're worried about something coming up, like during a presentation, then allowing it to have control, making it bigger than it actually is, just makes it worse. Find ways to face your fears and overcome them. Practice with others, talk to others, and just sort of get used to doing presentations or whatever it is that you have to do in your work. Do it in a safe environment so you don't build up a big presentation as being like a big deal. Get more used to it and feel more confident. Our minds make up stories when we don't have all the facts. It fills in blanks with negative self-talk, criticisms and judgments. So don't always trust these negative stories that we might tell ourselves. Write down our thoughts to be more objective and to make more rational thoughts rather than make Some people overwork as a coping mechanism. It's not very healthy. It can be an addiction. Make sure you have a balance between work and home life. Don't work too hard. It's not good for you. Have a life away from work. Don't let your job define you as a person. Think about who you are without your career, possessions, status, and money. Who are you behind all of these things? Be comfortable with who you are as a person, rather than obsessing about the external things. Reach out. Reach out to people if you're finding things difficult. Don't be ashamed of asking for help. There's no shame in anxiety. One of the most common forms of anxiety in the workplace is performance anxiety, especially around doing speeches, being the center of attention when presenting something. In order to deal with this, try to speak about topics that you care more about. You'll have less doubt about yourself when you are more invested in your subject matter. You'll feel like you have more expertise and more passion. Take time to prepare, practice, and refine it. Rehearse it before, so you know how to do it, and you don't have to think too much on the spot. Regulate your nervous system. Shake your hands and feet before starting somewhere private. Do some exercises to relax. Sometimes listening to some music before getting started can help you feel energized and focused. Get familiar with your surroundings. Spend some time in the place beforehand so you are familiar with it. It won't be another thing you have to adjust to at the time. You can walk around and sit in stillness and just feel like that's somewhere that you belong. And break the ice. Make some early audience interaction, some eye contact. Talk to them like friends and get some responses from them early on, so it's more of a casual conversation than a presentation. People with anxiety can do all kinds of jobs if they feel passionate about them and enjoy doing it. Some jobs which are more low stress that are good for people with anxiety as well can be things such as a fitness trainer, someone that works in nature, someone who drives, delivers things, computer work, creative work, bookshops, libraries, retail, supermarkets, charity work. There are all some examples that may be suitable, but of course it depends on your preferences and what you feel capable of. Now, what about professional help? What This identifies specific problems and challenges that are causing issues, and it can help to guide you to find your way through appropriate solutions for these situations. It's basically based around finding a different mindset and a more pragmatic viewpoint. For example, if you lose a job, then CBT would suggest that rather than calling yourself a failure or giving up, it would say, well, you can change your career, understand why people might change to different opportunities, find new things you can do moving forward, and make a plan of action. This can help you to make a more positive